Welcome to the motherfucking relay where we're covering today's top boxing news.
And this is, I think, what Deontay's had a problem in the last couple of years. Nobody around him is honest anymore. Because when you say certain things publicly, you've already said them in your circle. Even in passing.
Right.
Okay, so starting from the first Fury fight, somebody would have been like, yo, player, you didn't win that fight. We got away with it. You know, just run with it and say, yo, I'm going to make this even better the next time. I got the knockdowns. I feel like... Okay. You can say you even feel like, the result wasn't a robbery. But don't go saying, like, people out of their minds to think you lost the first fight when you got outclassed in the first fight. So, because that was my issue with the whole thing. He tried to get me fired from Showtime and all this other stuff, So,
really?
You were trying to have me and Farhood removed and all this other stuff. So, I don't have an issue with you being competitive and you not liking the criticism. I don't have an issue with that because I feel like you are not supposed to accept that easily.
Right.
When you calm down, because in the moment, of course, you're not calm. When you calm down, you have to be able to understand the difference between constructive criticism and hating criticism.
Right.
You have to be able to take the constructive criticism and build yourself and get better. Right. So now, I don't feel like anybody did that, so I don't feel like there was many adjustments made in the second fight. Actually, Fury made all the adjustments.
But he had his whole team saying, You won the fight.
Yes.
You won
so
the
Fury
fight.
made all the adjustments. Wild didn't really look so different. Actually, he looked worse. Because Fury made the adjustments to make him worse.
Right.
But in this, now you fast forward to after this fight again. It's like just like the first fight where you say you got robbed and everybody's cheering you on. You got robbed. Now you're saying after this fight, yo, that thing was heavy, man. That outfit was heavy. Not one of your team has the balls to say
you got your whooped.
See, I always had my best friend. He was always real. Like he would be like, yo, bro, shut that f up. What are you saying?
No,
right
that's
now?
what I'm saying.
Like before, and as a best friend. You're not gonna throw him out of your circle just for being honest. You always need that real guy, at least one real guy. Because if everybody's just agreeing with you, a bunch of yes men, you start to lose track of reality. And I feel like Deontay putting out that excuse is just another sign, another clue
that he can't cope with reality. That things have gone sideways for him, and what he probably thought was the path of least resistance. That Tyson Fury, as it turns out, is another case of a cherry pick gone wrong. That they didn't make the decision to have a fight or 2 fights or 3 fights with Tyson Fury ahead of this rematch. They didn't make that decision because they really thought that Tyson Fury was all at his best and he's really the #1 guy. That's not why they made that decision. They made that decision because they viewed Fury as a more beatable guy than someone else. In that respect, there really is very little new ground to cover. The audio you just heard was Paulie Malignaggi discussing his sentiments in regards to Wilder's excuses for his loss to Tyson Fury on the Ak and Barak show on Sirius XM. And what brings us back to this subject aren't Wilder's ridiculous excuses, per se. We've already discussed those extensively. What really brings us back here,
something else,
is what Paulie Malignaggi said, that Deontay Wilder went as far as trying to get him and Steve Farhood fired for what were their initial views, their initial interpretation as analysts, professional analysts for the sport of boxing. Tried to have them fired for their views on the first fight. We all know what Paulie thought. Paulie thought Wilder got outclassed and he really lost the fight. That those 2 knockdowns, they weren't enough to save the fight for him. And Paulie was very vocal about this. And it seems that Deontay Wilder was none too keen on Paulie's views. So much so that he went as far as trying to get him fired.
Yes.
Understand that what this effectively accents is the overall mental fragility of Deontay Wilder. For a long time I wondered if Deontay Wilder's in on the gag. If he knows that he's all smoke and mirrors and he's just playing along to eventually cash out, or is he really as delusional as he appears to be to me and several others? And what Paulie Malignaggi's recent comments in regards to what Wilder tried to do by trying to have him fired, what that accents is that Deontay Wilder is very much as delusional as he appears to be.
Yeah.
Because Paulie Malignaggi's job, regardless of whatever, is he's an analyst. He's entitled to his opinion. That's what he's there to give. And it just so happens that he doesn't think that you won that first fight.
Yeah.
And you're of the opinion that unless he, as an analyst, is rooting for you and speaking highly of you, that he should not have a job?
The fuck?
I mean, is Paulie Malignaggi there to analyze the fight and break it down for the fans, or is he there to talk you up and spread propaganda? Because it seems like Wilder's of the opinion that unless Paulie's talking him up and saying things that he doesn't mean, that he really shouldn't be there. I mean, how far gone do you have to be to try to go after somebody's job just because they think you lost the fight? Hey, newsflash, kiddo. He wasn't the only one that thought you lost that fight, all right?
All right.
A lot of people, including me, thought you lost that fight. What, should I expect Deontay Wilder to show up at my job on Monday morning and try to come after me too?
Huh?
For scoring it for Tyson Fury?
Huh?
I mean, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
All right?
Right.
Do you write Paulie Malignaggi's checks that you're expecting him to cater to you and service you and answer to you? Is that what's going on? Because if that's not what's going on, you, my friend, have some serious delusions of grandeur. And that's what brings us back here, folks. Now, if you're the guy writing Paulie Malignaggi's checks, if you're his boss and he's your employee, then perhaps you can ask for that kind of subordination. But if that's not the case, there's no fucking reason in the world you should go after somebody's job just because they, as a professional analyst and former fighter themselves, think you lost that fight. I mean, this ain't Joe Blow in the stands saying that you lost the fight.
Nah.
This is a former fighter, former world champion saying that you lost the fight. And he's entitled to that opinion.
Yeah.
More so, Showtime is paying him for that opinion, thus he is entitled to it. The full breadth of Deontay Wilder's delusions of grandeur is put on display by these comments from Paulie Malignaggi that this guy actually tried to get you fired because you thought he lost the fight?
Wow.
Talk about your pretty little princesses. Tell you something. What this denotes is what I've been telling you guys for a while now. That Deontay Wilder and Deontay Wilder's fans, they struggle to cope with certain realities, like how Anthony Joshua got here after Deontay Wilder, yet he managed to achieve more than Deontay Wilder in the realm of legacy, in the realm of marquee value. The facts are all there, and they're on full display for anyone to find. Yet Deontay Wilder himself, his team, and his fans, they struggled to cope with this. They did their best to deny it, as Deontay Wilder and his fans are very much in denial. Now, most of all, in the wake of what took place in the rematch with Tyson Fury, that as well is something that they are struggling to cope with, and they are looking for all manner of excuses to escape reality, because reality is not something they are strong enough to come to terms with.
Fucking lost.
Take it like a man. He lost the fucking fight, okay? While he's blaming it on his costume, you got YouTube offers looking to make some coin by cooking up conspiracy theories for those gullible and stupid enough to believe them. Whether it's the gloves,
Glovegate.
or he was poisoned. I mean, more recently, you got the Blue Blood Sports guy, right?
Right.
The guy, he's been around a while. He's got a lot of subscribers. A lot of dumb fucking subscribers. Let's get a whiff of this. This guy comes out with a video alleging that Tyson Fury's having some kind of issue with his A sample from a VADA test, not realizing that the source for his story is a tweet that I tweeted. Yes, me. Literally. Me. Okay?
Me.
This guy crops an image of a parody tweet. Member of Ring IQ on Facebook made. Try to scare people. Get a laugh. That kind of stuff. This guy crops out a tweet of a screenshot, and he uses this to try to spin a web to where Tyson Fury is currently under investigation by VADA and the WBC for performance-enhancing drug tests, not realizing that it's my fucking tweet he's using. And his idiot subscribers run with this because they're so desperate to believe in something that they actually believe in this. It's the most ridiculous fucking thing I ever heard, when you can go to Mauricio Suleiman's Twitter page and you'll see
What?
the screenshot that you're using for your story isn't actually up there, you fucking imbecile, because it's not real. It was a parody, and you just so happened to crop out the part of the screenshot that lets everyone know it's a parody because you're an opportunist, a shyster and a con man, trying to pull a fast one on your own subscribers, because you and I know those fucking subscribers you got, those guys, they're fucking idiots, and they'll believe anything.
They'll believe you.
I mean, granted, I think Blue Blood and a lot of these guys are fucking imbeciles, but the even bigger imbeciles than they are the ones who subscribe to their channels and think they're actually getting real news. By the time these fucking twits realize that they just got conned, the guys that conned them have already turned over a profit for these morons having watched their fake news. Shortly after that, these guys run around spreading this fake news like chlamydia. It's all over the fucking place. It's like the common cold.
It's everywhere.
They catch wind that the news that they've been running around spreading is fake news, and by this time, they go into denial themselves because they don't want to admit how stupid they are for subscribing to these channels. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle, but this is what's going on. And this is the level of denial that not only Deontay Wilder's fans exhibit, but Deontay Wilder himself. Lest we forget, this is a guy who thinks he lost the fight because of his fucking costume. And I have no doubts that this is the same level of denial that has inexorably led Deontay Wilder to this point, as at any time between the first fight and the second fight, perhaps he could have sat down and watched the first fight just to see what is it that people are talking about. Why do they think that I'm the guy that lost? Maybe I need to sit down and be realistic with myself. Maybe this is what I should do. I've no doubts that this is what Deontay Wilder didn't do. He was presumptuous enough to think that he could walk into the second fight, making no adjustments, relying solely on the right hand to avail him. Because for the longest time, that's all he's ever had to do. Well, for the longest time, he wasn't fighting fighters the likes of a Tyson Fury.
Nope.
The kind of fighters that can make adjustments if they find themselves in a rematch. In truth, we've already covered that angle. Deontay's delusions of grandeur, his denial, and what it has so costed him.
Quite a bit.
But these guys, I'll tell you, these are spin doctors, YouTube offers. They're something else, they really are.
It's incredible.
These guys have basically made a living out of lying fast enough to make a profit before anybody catches wind that you're lying. And once they do, by that time, you've already made a profit. You've already turned over some coin, because that's basically what these guys do. They're less concerned with integrity.
You think?
Journalistic integrity, because a lot of these guys, they do like to pass themselves off as journalists of some sort, to some degree. They call themselves the quote-unquote new media. There's really nothing new about their particular racket.
Which is?
The best way to sum it up is clickbait,
Ain't shit new about that.
as that particular racket has been around for a while. Sensationalizing headlines, spinning stories, to maximize reactions to thereby maximize profits. Tantamount to being a shock jock.
That's it.
Something along those lines. But it does involve some divisiveness, that is clear, as integrity is not the focal point of these individuals' efforts. Neither integrity or accuracy
Their racket.
is what they are shooting for.
Far from it.
So much as whatever gets them the most clicks, whatever gets them the most views, so that they can thereby get the most money. And by the time everybody realizes that these guys are full of shit, they will have turned over a profit already. Although for this particular group of guys, their days might be numbered, as they've put all their eggs in one basket whilst spreading propaganda for Deontay Wilder the last 2 or 3 years. That's right. You see, one of the hottest topics, if not the hottest topic in boxing the last 2 or 3 years, has been the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder fight. It's one of the most burning topics, one of the most prevalent topics in the sport of boxing. It has been for the last 2 to 3 years. And these guys have made a pretty penny talking up this guy, spreading propaganda about this guy. It's been lucrative for a time. But like all good things,
Yeah, I know.
it must come to an end. And when it comes to Wilder, the end is nigh. He doesn't get that belt back in July. These guys, they better find something new to talk about, and that's just it. There hasn't been anything quite as captivating in the sport of boxing in recent memory, aside from the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder fight, as it involves the undisputed heavyweight crown. You know that heavyweight's one of the glamour weights, and you know that when the heavyweight division is vibrant, the rest of the sport of boxing actually takes a back seat to it. It's the way it's always been. That when the heavyweight division is thriving, that's the main event, and most everything else is just the co-main. Nothing has quite gotten the attention that the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder fight, what would have been, though may never be.
Not after that ass kicking.
That fight was the centerpiece for most every conversation that either a hardcore or a casual was having in regards to the sport. And in that way, it brought them that many more viewers, that much more attention. But suddenly, if the guy you've been pandering to, rather, the fans of that guy that you've been pandering to,
There you go.
don't actually have that guy in the conversation anymore, if he cannot recover and he is not involved in that situation,
You're fucked.
well, you guys are in a bit of a pickle, because you've put all your eggs in one basket. And I talked about this before, that if you're a mascot for the entire sport,
Yeah.
the entire sport in its entirety,
Yeah.
then you can't lose. But when you're a mascot for just one guy, just one guy, you really are on borrowed time, because it's only a matter of time. He, like many fighters that were greater fighters than he is today before him, takes his first professional loss, and maybe he doesn't bounce back the way some others did, and you won't have that to lean on for viewership anymore. If your subscriber base is limited to just the guys that root for him, what happens when they don't have him to root for anymore? And what happens to you as a result of that? Though even that aspect of this prevalent surgence of fake news and spin doctors and false narratives, false flags, even that is something that we have discussed here on the channel. But when I spoke to Unrivaled Boxing Talk, a great channel from a real hardcore fan, I invite any one of you guys to subscribe to his channel, where you'll get accurate information. And when I say accurate, I mean accurate, because this guy actually picked Tyson Fury to knock out Deontay Wilder. So this is a guy who knows what he's talking about. When I spoke to Unrivaled Boxing Talk earlier today during his live broadcast, he informed me that Blue Blood's source for his recent story in regards to a positive test result for Tyson Fury, his source was the tweet that I posted on Twitter about a day or two ago. I had to address it to thereby dispel it. I didn't want to give these guys the satisfaction. I didn't want to give these guys the attention, as that is what they thrive on. But because this guy went as far as using a tweet that I posted
to cook up a story,
it's a source to spin an even newer narrative to the ones we've seen already, the ones we've been seeing the last 2 weeks. When I saw that this guy had the audacity to try to use that as some kind of angle for him to turn over a profit, well, I had to do something about it. And I'm here to tell you, that fucking guy is full of shit. Though I know you guys that are here are smart enough that you didn't need me to tell you that already. But I did. I felt it necessary. As these kinds of parasitic individuals, outliers in the sport of boxing, really.
fringe fans.
These kind of guys have made it their profession, their racket, to spread lies for profit. And if it's okay for them to turn a profit for telling lies, it's gotta be okay for me to turn a profit by exposing these guys for what they are and telling the truth.
It can't be any worse than what they're doing.
You've got Fanny Fanon rounding up pay-per-view numbers from his armchair in his guest room, from his sources of which he has none. You've got Blue Blood Sports using parody tweets to spin narratives about failed VADA tests. And then you got this Pharaoh guy. God knows where the fuck he came from. I never seen the guy before.
His whole Glovegate scandal.
This guy doesn't even normally report on boxing, yet even he knew there's a legion of idiots out there that you can capitalize on. And then you got the usual suspects, the would-be boxing journalists that every so often get press credentials, who I wouldn't even trust to write a cohesive thesis on a coloring book. Any way you slice it, no matter where you look, you guys are on borrowed time, and you know it.